Hey there. Today we are going to see the life of Amy Carmichael. She's a missionary from Ireland. She served in India for so many years. You know, uh, I've read a book written by Lois Hoadley. He wrote on Amy Carmichael. I read that book and I'm sharing some thoughts from this book. And he initially writes that he couldn't have many information because Amy Carmichael generally destroys any information related to her, and she has removed her name from many of her own writings and publishings. So it was difficult for him to get much information or record. And also, from the information he got, he wasn't able to have a particular specific chronological order. Okay, Amy was born in 16 December in 1867 in Ireland in a village called Millisle, and she was the oldest of seven children. So his father, named David, he owned Carmichael flour mills, and the family also had a school to teach people, even the employees working in the mills. They also organized evangelistic services on Sunday nights in their area. So Amy Carmichael's gets to know Jesus. She gets saved in 1883. In 1884, she gets involved in street missions. She's sharing gospel in the streets nearby her area. In 1885, her father dies, and her mother becomes a widow with seven children to take care of. And Amy's mom wanted to be a missionary to China, but because of her family details, now she couldn't take that decision. One Sunday rainy morning, there was an elderly lady walking with heavy bundles near the church area, and Amy, in an impulse, helped her carry the heavy bundle. And the church people there, who were strongly following Sabbath day, who didn't do work on Sundays, they saw her in a different way. And after that incident, her something changed in her heart. She gave herself into more service to God. She started visiting homes. She was doing children's meetings. She was teaching night schools in slum areas. She was organizing morning watch prayer and Bible reading to people. She also started a schoolgirls prayer meeting and also volunteered in Young Women's Christian Association, YWCA. But still, after all doing this, her mind was still foggy. She wanted to be a good Christian, but she was not exactly sure how. And she also had doubts whether she was in the right way. In 1886, she attends a convention in Scotland called the Deeper Life Convention, and in someone was praying, and in the last line of the prayer, she hears this word from Jude 24. Now unto him he who keeps us from falling. Now unto him who keeps us from falling. So when she heard that, her heart gets revealed. The fog in her mind goes off. Now she knows that it's God's responsibility or God's work to keep us from falling. We just need to be abiding in Him. In 1892, and in those years, D.L. Moody had organized many conventions and meetings in Keswick, an area, and she got to attend there, and she got to hear that thousands of people are dying every day without Christ. She was praying for to God to send some people, some missionaries to these areas, and God put a burden in her own heart. The Keswick Mission Committee was then formed, and Amy was the first missionary. Now, her family was needed her very much because she had a second father, a stepfather, who was very weak and needed medical attention. She had a mom who had to look after six other children. So, in such a state, Amy, when she had a call from God to missions, It was a tough decision for her to make, but her mom supported her mission call, and that's how Amy was able to go. And she first tried for a China Inland Mission. She was rejected. Then she went to Japan for 15 months in the year 1893 to 94, and she had a breakdown there at the end, and then she came to India in 1895. She was staying in Bangalore with some missionaries. She had times of depression and loneliness, which was expressed in this book. In 1896, she moves along with Walker Iyer family to Tirunelveli in Palayam Kottai. After some time there, they moved to a place called Pannai. So some girls there form a group along with Amy and called the Starry Cluster Group, and they go to evangelize people in that area. No, Punnamal was also a part of the group who helped Amy in various ways later. In 1900, this missionary group moved to Dohnavur area. They see that there were many superstitions and social evils, mainly sati happening, child marriage happening, and the Devadasi system. And sati is where when a husband dies, the wife also was forced by the society to die along with the husband during the funeral or during the cremation. Child marriage, like very young children uh, in their school going age get married together. And Devadasi system where is where children, especially girl children, were given to temples where these children and young age were dedicated to gods. They were told to be married to gods. They were taught poetry and danced with debased meanings and moves, and they are subjected to sacred prostitution, and most of them die due to venereal diseases in later years. No, many parents gave the children, thinking that it is a blessing when we give uh, to God our children, and it brings protection to the family. So they sacrifice one children, giving to God, and so that their whole family can be protected. They also get good image in the society, good name in the society when they dedicate children to in the name of God. And sometimes they also give due to poverty, that they will not be able to raise the child by their own financial hardships. So Amy and workers, uh, when they got to know this, they some children came to them to be rescued, and many times then they made it a mission that they have to rescue these children, and it's a ministry. And they got calls from children or people, and they would immediately go. They used to travel in carts or buses or trains to long distances, and they rescue children and come back. No, and they also faced many issues from the society, from the temple people. The cases were done on them, put on them, uh, fake accusations. In 1904, there were 16 child converts, and 6 children were saved from the temple. That's 4 years from reaching Dohnavur. No? Also, Amy didn't do this alone. She had a team. There were very faithful workers like Punnammal, Arulai, Sellamuttu, Aruldasan, and many others. No? In 1906, there was a cholera epidemic, and many children died. Many child uh, died, and it was a tough time for them. And there were many times where only few people were there, and there would be hundreds of children to be taken care of. In your home, if you have one or two children, you know how difficult it is to manage them. Just imagine hundreds of children in a place. And they taught them Bible stories, songs. So God's word was instilled in these young and child minds, and some people even came to serve them but couldn't withstand the pressure and the amount of work there. Now, in 1911, Amy and some of the workers faced imprisonment because of false accusative cases put on them on during rescue of children. In 1923, they had 20 nurseries for children. When I was reading the book, I saw in different places where whatever needs they had, Amy and the workers always prayed to God. They never asked people. They always prayed, and God would provide. And they considered that if they are praying for something and it needed some money, if God provide money supernaturally, then they would go ahead for that work. And they also saw caste system in India to be a very cruel and evil thing happening. In the book, it was written caste was iron-bound, cold, cruel, with endless ramifications. Caste is destructive, spawning meaningless gestures and acts that were only symbols. Caste prevented any notion of brotherhood, crushed personal aspirations, prevented even hopes of or dreams. Caste closed doors on opportunity, squelching talent and ability from reaching higher. Caste permitted no moving upward into a better life. Caste was reinforced by arranged marriages. Caste had no concept of equal opportunity, and from it sprung many other evils. So Amy and their team was rescuing children from this sacred prostitution or Devadasi system, and over 900 children have been rescued in that time, and many came to know Christ and were growing in the knowledge of Christ. But still, there were missionaries or Christians who didn't consider Amy's work as a missionary work. They would look down on her work and maybe pass on comments. But Amy did not regard those things, and she continued her work. No. And some people from other countries also came to serve. In 1907, Mabel Wade, first European, came and joined the team. In 1924, May Powell comes. In 1928, Dr. Murray comes and joins the team. Now, Amy was an avid reader. She wrote 22 books in her spare time during 1901 and 1931. In 1931, she goes to inspect a house which was considered haunted in a place called Kalakadu. She went to inspect the house and she falls into a pit. That morning, she was praying, God, do anything you want for me to be used by you more mightily, or in as your will, as your purpose. No, she falls down. She breaks her leg and ankle, and after that, she gets acute neuritis, and she gets one of her arm or hand gets disabled, and then she gets some pain, arthritic pain in her spine. So all these things made her to confine in one room. She was active, but she was confined into a room. She was writing books and managing ministry from that room. She wrote 13 books in that time. She was confined to room for 20 years from 1931 to 1951. So in Jan 18, 1951, she went to be with the Lord now to heaven. So in 1952, around it was seen that over 900 children were part of that ministry. Over 900 rescued children. So Amy served around 55 years in India, and she became an inspiration to missionaries who come later, like Jim Elliot and Elizabeth Elliot. No? And India outlawed temple prostitution in the year 1948. Now Dohnavur Fellowship continues to support around 500 people. It has 16 nurseries and one hospital. And CSI Diocese of Tirunelveli in Tamil Nadu, they are managing this fellowship now. And I will end with one small information. Usually Irish people have blue eyes or some other colored eyes, but Amy had brown eyes, and she was questioning in her childhood, why did I have brown eyes? But in Indian people have brown eyes. She came to India when she wore the Indian attire, sari. She looked more like a Indian woman, and God gave the right color of eyes to identify with the people where she served. You know, uh, we serve an amazing God, and Amy Carmichael's life is an inspiring one. So God bless you all.